Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Home and Away, a podcast devoted to all things in and around the world of sporting Kansas City soccer. I am Drew Vanderploeg, joined once again, as always, by my good friend Cody Welton. This week on the podcast, we are back after a quick one-week hiatus, and boy, do we have some things to talk about. Unfortunately, our Egyptian prince has chosen the golden toilet in Turkey, but fear not, because it appears Plan B is progressing as planned. Sporting Kansas City made some fun front office hires, and in Potpourri, we have a plethora of items to cover, like MLS Hot Stove, Temwa making a run at the Ballon d'Or and WAFCON, Gianni Infantino really stepping in it, and everyone's favorite tournament, Leagues Cup. But first, Cody, we need to talk about the last Sporting Kansas City game we watched. I mean, yeah, I guess we don't have to, but we kind of have to. This is a Sporting Kansas City podcast. I don't even know that I need to break down much the performances of players or any of the things that happened during the game, because I think they were largely decided by the choices of the coach. The as the coach was said in the post-game press conference, they were much better defensively in this game, which is a shocking revelation to find when you put better defenders on the field. The defense gets better. I'm so glad we have such a high-quality coach to make us aware that such things are possible. Candidly, yes, LBJ getting the red card, terrible. You know, getting sent off, or second yellow, getting sent off, terrible. Stupid foul. Should not do that. The way that they sort of folded like a lawn chair after that, not great either. But even before that point, it never looked like they were anywhere close to winning this game. Ever. No. They never looked anywhere close to doing anything significant towards scoring a goal. And this has been a consistent problem for this team all year, no matter the level of talent on the field. It does not seem like they have any fucking idea how they mean to score goals. They are disorganized, and the tactics mainly seem to look like get the ball near zone 14 and figure it out.
Yeah, that I mean, I couldn't agree more. Their attacking choices confuse me incessantly, just because there doesn't seem to be any sort of recognizable pattern of like how this team means to score. I think we have maybe a better idea of how they mean to defend, but they definitely can't do either one of those things. Maybe the first half defensively notwithstanding, they haven't shown this season that they can do one of those things, much less both of them. And I think that, personally, I would much rather them show me that they can score, because we know that the defense is going to be poor, and that really the defense should be waiting on the upgraded players who we've now seen, play a game, and they looked like a better fit, right? But the attacking players are players that we have been maybe leaning on a little bit this season so far, and they haven't been able to put together. If you have Dejan Joveljic on your team, you should be able to score goals more regularly than the team has been. You should be able to be goal dangerous. If you have Manu Garcia and Dejan Joveljic, you should be able to be consistently goal dangerous, and they have not shown that they can be that. And I think the frustration is that I think most signs point to coaching as an issue for that, because if you can't, I think we spoke about this.
How does Manu Garcia help you score goals if he's not on the field?
Yeah, I mean, amen. I mean, and even when he is on the field, he's I think that his the positions where he's been tasked to pick up, I think are not maybe optimal. But regardless, you're exactly right. You can't score goals if you're not on the field. No one knows what the hell's going on and why he's not seeing the field. But it isn't a new thing, and it really seems, like this way. At this point, it seems like a Wicky team is not super compatible with having Manu on the field,
or this roster in general.
Right, which is perplexing, right? Like you would think that as a coach, you would want your best attacking player, your best chance creator, you'd want to be finding a way to leverage that player's skill set into providing your team quality chances. And Wicky has not really seemed to be able to do that. And I don't really. It's perplexing, right? It's perplexing. I don't understand what his expectations are necessarily, or what how Manu is or isn't meeting those expectations. The whole situation is very opaque, and it feels like maybe not good vibes, and I think that should give everybody pause.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely not good vibes. We'll get to that part here in a second. I don't understand how you choose a just turned 20-year-old draft pick who central midfielder sort of like 6'8",
a 6'8", yes,
to play as a 10/shadow striker. And I don't know. I don't understand what you thought was going to happen there. Like,
Yeah.
what did you expect? Like, I don't understand how you make that choice as a professional coach with a professional coaching license and go, this will work. I wouldn't try this in a Football Manager save.
Right. It doesn't seem. It seems destined to fail from the outset. Much like putting Ian James at right back. I mean, frankly,
Not just at right back, but as a line-hugging,
Yep.
wide and high right back, right?
Yep.
I mean, this is one of those things where if you put Ajibang in this role, if you were playing Football Manager and you put him in there, it would say that the familiarity bar would go to 0.
Yeah.
And all the stars would go down to like half of a star, because you are asking a guy who is completely unfamiliar with the job at hand to do something because you're looking for some. I don't know what he's looking for. It appears like I do think that there's a problem with some correlation and causation here, because the team started to run into a decent run of results before the break with Calhera playing in that role. I think he convinced himself that Calhera was the reason why.
Right.
I don't think that was the reason why. I think they just got into a little bit of positive form for once.
Yeah.
I don't think that Calhera playing that role changed things that significantly. They played Austin FC. That's what changed things significantly.
That'll help.
The competition got worse, and they got into a little bit of a groove, which will happen to any team that's not totally terrible. And with Capita, with LBJ, with some of the additions that they had made, they weren't completely terrible anymore. And so they were able to, and don't get me wrong, Manu was able to come into those games and really take advantage of fresh legs at the end and also create chances. So, I mean, there were some things that worked, but I think there's some correlation causation going on there, and he tried to do what he did with Calhera, except this time with Ajibang, and it just made no sense. And Ajibang was bad.
Yeah.
Was very bad.
Yeah.
And it was like the most predictable thing on earth. And I am concerned, because now this head coach that David Lee spent a lot of time identifying and hiring, like I didn't even start until a week before preseason.
Yeah.
This guy seems to be a little bit galaxy brained. He doesn't really seem to have any type of solutions for the roster he has. It's more just this is, I want to do things a certain way, and you're just going to have to sort of form to that. And I'm like, well, fuck, we already did this with Vermees, man.
Yeah. And it didn't work.
And
say it worked for a limited time.
And say what you want about Vermees. You think Vermees would struggle to find Manu Garcia a place on the field?
No.
Like, so I'm just like, my concern. The last time we had this conversation, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was the pod before that. Maybe it was 3 weeks ago. My concern with Wicky before was that he's a nothing manager, kind of replacement level, doesn't really do anything. I am concerned now that he is below replacement, where he is actively actually making the team worse. Like, the sum of the parts is actually better than what he's getting out of them.
Yeah, and I think that is a big concern. And all you have to do, I mean, we're sort of honing in on Manu Garcia, and that is indeed a problem, and probably the biggest problem. But who on the team is playing well? Who on the team is playing above their level? Who on the team is making their teammates better? And I think that really the answer to that is no one. I mean, we all appreciate Capita's work ethic and the way that he gets after it, but like in terms of just the on-field product, like you're not seeing anything that indicates that they're moving towards a place where they're more than the sum of their parts, or where they're a balanced squad who's playing well together. And that is a huge problem, right? If you don't have any players playing up to or above their potential, you're cooked as a coach. Like that's poor coaching. It's pretty glaring. It's a pretty glaring thing to notice.
This guy's not Antonio Conte. He doesn't get to come in and just be like, I've got all this history and you got to do it my way.
Right.
Like, Rapha Wicky's coaching history is being in charge of an absurdly terrible Chicago Fire team.
Yes.
And then being in charge of a very good Swiss League team that won once while he was there, and then was about to lose for the first time in like 5 years, and so they fired him the next year. Like, that's Rapha Wicky's CV.
Yeah.
So like you can't come in here and act like you are actually that good.
Right.
You've not shown that you are that good. I'll be completely honest, in the preseason sort of tied myself into a lot of knots trying to like figure out how this would make sense. Because by and large, I think David Lee has made a lot of positive choices. He's not batting 1,000, but nobody does, right? But by and large, he's made a lot of pretty good decisions. We're going to get into a couple more that he made this, or I don't know if one of them was made this week, but it was reported on this week. Right. We'll get into those. He's largely making the right calls. I don't get this one. Like, this one seems like a straight whiff. Not quite working out exactly the way we wanted to, but kind of a mess.
Yeah, and I think that's okay. Like, I mean, I think that can be forgiven as long as the problem gets rectified. And I imagine, in a normal situation, it would be pretty straightforward and apparent, and the problem would be fixed pretty quickly. But the issue for me is that the sprint season kind of throws everything sort of up in the air a little bit, and it's like, do you make changes before the sprint season? I could see the incentive not to do that, and so then do you wind up hanging on to a shit coach for another year basically for what? Right, and it's really concerning. And
do you feel culpable as the leader of the front office not giving him a team worth of shit to start the season too, and go, sure, well, I owe him the opportunity to try to show that he can do something with a better roster?
Sure.
Like, there's that aspect of it as well. I think unless Peter Maluk jumps in and says, we got to do something here, I would be surprised to see a change.
But I would not be surprised to see that happen, frankly.
I wouldn't either, right? Like, I that's not to say that he wouldn't do that. Right. He seems very invested in improving the product on the field as quickly as possible. I don't think waiting to the end of the sprint season is going to be okay with him. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But the other thing, and I said this on the Discord, I don't necessarily want David Lee focused on hiring another coach right now either.
No,
they got a bunch of other shit to handle.
Yeah. So take care of the business that should have been done already first, and then we can get to absolutely.
But I mean,
the nice thing is that frankly, if you wanted to cut bait and move on. I mean, you have Dom Kinnear on staff. This is why you have somebody like that on staff. Like, it just is, right? That is a fail-safe. It is a break glass in case of emergency kind of person to have on your coaching staff. Would I be thrilled if Dom Kinnear was the coach? No, I wouldn't. Do I think the team would perform a little bit better and probably get some results more than they have been? I kind of do, and that says a lot because I am not by any stretch a Dom Kinnear fan, but just the lack of forward progress in terms of what we see on the field from this group of players under this coach is really it's dismaying. And we can't just sit here the whole time. Well, when we get more players, well, we've gotten some of those players, and what we have seen is not really a corresponding bump in on-field production. We've gotten better players. They've had time to bed in. They've had a preseason, most of them, and if not that, then they've had the beginning of this season and a World Cup break.
6-month World Cup break? That was its own preseason.
That's what I was getting to. And so at this point, they are very quickly running out of excuses that are valid in my mind, and I am very quickly to the point where I'm Wicky out, and let's do something different.
Well, and what do you have to lose? Like, I think, I understand in David Lee's mind, there's still half the season left, and, mathematically we can make the playoffs, blah, 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 blah. And, does this change, like, sort of resign you to missing the playoffs? My point would be, this is your opportunity now to make this change, just to see if you can actually move it in a positive direction. I think to your point, Dom Kinnear, this is why you have Dom Kinnear on. You're 100% right. This is why you have him on the staff. You have someone who has experience coaching a team, both as a head coach, a fairly successful head coach in MLS 1.0, but a fairly successful head coach when he was. And then as a caretaker manager as well. I believe he's been the interim as well when he was an assistant. So, this is a guy you can rely on. From everything I've heard, he has a very good relationship with the squad. There is a significant morale issue with what's going on right now. And you can see it on the field. You just see a bunch of guys remonstrating at each other. They're not trusting each other. They're not playing well.
They're not on the same page, which always leads me to wonder. I sit in the stands and I'm watching them, and I'm like, what the fuck do these guys do in practice? What have they been working on during the World Cup? Because you don't see the fruits of whatever that labor is, right? They're not good in defense. They're not good in build-up. They're barely adequate in possession, and they're terrible in the final third. So, at some point, you got to be like, what are they working on every day? Are they just doing fucking rondos? Because shit, anybody could do that. You don't need Rapha Wicky to do that shit. And so
you and I can stand out there and watch the new rondos.
For real. And so,
I'm not suggesting that Rapha isn't an accredited coach that has gone through all of the training and probably the preparations and shit they do. I'm sure it's far well beyond what we're sort of glossing over here and making sort of seem simpler than it is. But when it comes down to it, you make the most salient point of all. When you watch this team on the field, do they look like a team that knows what they're doing? No, they don't.
They don't appear to have a plan either offensively or defensively.
That is coaching. Coaches set the plan.
Amen.
And when the players don't know, the players are either ill-equipped to execute the plan because of the choices the coach made, or don't understand how they're meant to execute the plan. That is a coaching problem. And I think what you've also got is you've got a bunch of guys who have sort of quit listening because listening to the coach has gotten them ripped multiple times, right? I think, it's hard not to look at them getting blasted by LAFC 4-0 and go, especially coming straight back from the break, possibly having some positive vibes about taking some momentum into the break and then going, okay, new players are in. We'll be able to sort of carry that momentum forward, getting blasted by LAFC, mostly due to some fucking galaxy brain tactical decisions. The film is out on LAFC. Just sit back, make them possess. Don't ever, ever, ever collapse your lines into their defensive half. Don't ever do it. What did SKC do? They just went right into their trap and just got blown out. And those are tactical choices, man.
Yeah.
This should have been drilled.
Yeah.
in video room, even I know it was a short week, so maybe they didn't get to practice it, but in video, in team meetings, all this shit should be like, we're in a mid block all the time.
Right. Center backs, you're not progressing past this point ever. Like, I don't want to see you get, because you're not fast enough.
If your heels ever get inside the half line, I'm pulling you off the field.
Yeah.
Like, those should be the instructions. That wasn't what happened.
Right.
And they get blown off the field, and that, again, it has a morale impact. It has an impact on a bunch of players as to whether they're even listening to the instructions anymore because the instructions are not working. And at that point, you have to make a change. Whether Wicky is at fault for all of this or not, I'm sure, there's a little column A, a little column B. I think there's more column A. You and I are thinking the more we see this, there's more column A. But still, regardless of where you sit on that, if the team continues to look less and less organized and are not really following through on what he's asking because they don't believe him, how does it improve?
Yeah, I totally agree. And
it certainly doesn't with him in charge.
Right. Well, the idea, I think, is it proves just by getting better players. But we've spoken about that.
I said this during the Houston game. I actually skeeted it on Blue Sky. Is like a $20 million winger doesn't fix this.
Right.
You might get some cool goals, but it doesn't fix the problem, which is the disorganization. It's like
it's not only disorganization. It does, I think, come down to some degree to a failure to communicate clearly and have that communication, actualized, put into action. And there's something, there's just, you can tell that something is just not right. And I think that one thing maybe in Wicky's defense is this team does not have, they don't have like an on-field leadership presence. They don't. We've hoped that maybe Zoe was that player. We've hoped that, maybe Blorian was going to come in and be that player. They just don't have it. There's nobody out there taking control. In
Blorian's defense, I don't think that he's going to create that in 4 games.
Totally
it's impossible for that to happen.
I mean, I don't think it's impossible, but it is unlikely, and I agree with you to an extent. But absent that leadership, that's the coach has to step into that vacuum, and the coach hasn't done that, right? The coach has to. If you're a coach,
the coach seems to have no relationship with the players.
That's weird, isn't it? I mean, that's very strange. What other MLS coach has that kind of sideline presence where they don't seem to have any actual real interaction with their players?
He's very Swiss in that regard. It's very just like, we're here to play soccer, and here are your instructions. Yeah. Which, I mean, fine, but I just don't think that works for most 20-year-old dudes. They need some sort of feedback. They need some sort of, motivating people is a part of, in fact, a lot of people think coaching is mostly tactics and game planning and all that other bullshit. It's not. It's how do you get 11 dudes to play their best?
Yep. That's why Bruce is the GOAT, man.
100%.
That is why. I mean, and you could just close your eyes and imagine what this team would look like coached under Bruce Arena. You could start the same players in the same general positions. And
we might be losing 5-4, but sure. I'm going to tell you something. Manu Garcia would have 3 assists a game.
Every game, absolutely. The best players would be leveraged to play their best football.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the other shit would be like somebody else's problem. And if they don't do it right, then so be it.
Then you'll find somebody who will.
Right, but or just like we're gonna make a leveraged choice. You got to do your job. These guys are gonna go do theirs. You got to do your job, right? And that's the problem. Is I feel like Wicky is really trying so hard to build a defensive structure that takes players away from the areas where they're better. You know what I mean? And instead of adjusting that, he's just trying different players in those until something works.
Yeah.
there is no reason that Calvin Harris and Capita need to stay this deep anymore. Like, I sort of understood it when you had Ethan Bartlow and Wyatt Meyer playing center back. I got it. Like, you know, again, Jaden Reed was starting every game at left back. I got it at that point, why you were protecting those guys. When you improve the quality of your back line, you no longer need to leave your wingers pinned back to cover them in defensive transition.
Yeah.
Now you have two highly active, very capable pressing wingers, never pressing.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing too is you know, they're dropping back to help defend. To what end? If you're still giving up 2 or 3 goals a game with those guys helping out defend, maybe that's not the play. Maybe the play is
they're 60 yards away from the goal when you turn the ball over, and they can't. There's too much space for them to transition into.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe the play is to move them further up the field, to move the line of confrontation into something that's you know, more suitable to the squad that you have. And at some point, like, what do you got to lose? Your team is fucking terrible. You're losing every game by multiple goals. Why keep dropping those guys back? Why not engage in the opponent higher up the field? Because if you win the ball, then you're that much closer to your own your goal where you're attacking. And I mean, that's like simple soccer stuff, right? I mean, that's like not anything that's super mind blowing or anything, but you know, we haven't seen that enacted enough. And you know, in fact, you know, I think that one of the things that I feel like I've noticed is maybe the team playing less and less direct as the season's gone on, and bogging down more and more, even as they have bedded in, you know, better players with, you know, hopefully more talent. They're playing like a more regressive style of soccer, and I don't understand it, and I don't like it.
They had Karic pulled back in a back three in a 3-2-5 possession shape against Houston.
Yeah, why?
Why?
Why? Why?
What? That's what we wanted you to do with Ian James.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly right.
Why are you doing this with Amir Karic?
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Like, he's the best on-ball fullback we've had since probably Luis Martins.
Ew. No.
Martins was he could cross like a son of a bitch. No, I mean...
Not to anybody.
Yeah. Leibold was pretty good on the ball. He just didn't defend. Sure. But I think... But that's what I'm saying. It's like, you have a good, high-quality on-the-ball fullback. Why are you leaving him in a back 3-2-5 build-out shape? Like, right. What is the point of that? So, yeah, I mean, just all the choices are just weird. They're strange. They are weird.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're difficult to explain. And you end up seeing a team on the field that doesn't inspire confidence ever.
Yep.
And I just don't know how we get to the point where they start inspiring confidence while still playing for this guy. Like, it just doesn't look like a team that's responding to him at all.
No. They don't seem to have, not only do they not seem to have a direction, you know, on a game-by-game basis, but they don't seem to be working towards something, right? Like, you know, when Jurgen Klopp first took over Liverpool, they were a fucking mess, and they would get gutted by teams because they didn't know how to press. But you could tell, like, game by game, that they were working towards something. They were working towards implementing a system and a style, and you got the feeling that, you know, even though maybe that progress wasn't linear, you were seeing things every week that was leading towards something, and we have not seen that at all with this team, and it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating to have waited this long for investment in the club, and to have, you know, waited through the last, you know, 2 years of Vermes and whatever the fuck last year was, to have put up with all of that shit for that long as fans, to then be, like, you know, bogged down in this is really frustrating, because it doesn't have to be this way. It truly doesn't.
Right. I mean, like, there's a difference between being bad and being loathsome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I can understand having bad results because we're short on players.
Yep. Yep.
I
Or
struggle-
inexperienced.
Inexperienced,
Or,
yeah. Guys make
Any of those
mistakes.
things. Sure.
Any of that kind of shit. I'm, and Vermees would even say this. He's like, I'm not going to kick your ass for making a mistake. The results of what he said and what he did in those circumstances are not necessarily the same thing. But still, like, I'm not going to kill these guys for making mistakes. If they make the same mistake over and over, then it's a problem. But mistakes are not the issue. The issue is not having a plan.
Yeah. Yep.
Like and again, like, we go back to the player management piece. You have quite obviously the best soccer player on your team continues to get benched to try because you can't figure out how to use him, or you're trying to find some other way to win games because you can't find a way to win games with the best soccer player on your team.
Yep. That's bad.
That's not great, dude. And it's MLS. Even designated players are going to have gaps in their game.
Sure.
All of these guys are going to have dependencies. Shit, you watch the Premier League. Cody Gakpo has plenty of dependencies in his game, right? Like, there are guys at every level that have these limitations, dude.
Yeah.
You figure out how to manage around them. That's what good managers do.
100%.
And I don't see Wicky doing that. I see him throwing his hands up in the air and just throwing shit at the wall. And that is not a way to coach. And that is certainly not a way to inspire confidence in your locker room. And now you've got a scenario where Manu's posting morose Instagram shit. And people are reading a ton into it. And I'm not going to read a bunch into his Instagram stuff. Like, we don't need to be doing that. But it's obvious that he's unhappy. Why would he be?
Right.
Why would he be happy right now?
No reason.
And similarly, Ethan Bartlow is a healthy scratch. Like, he doesn't even make the bench against Houston. And Tampa's like, hey, we could use a guy like that. And he's like, yeah, get me out of here. Like, why wouldn't he, right? Like, because the coach prioritizes Wyatt Meyer because he's left-footed. Ethan Bartlow is a better center back in every way than Wyatt Meyer. There is no...
Agree.
Now, granted, we're talking about the fringes. This is not important. It's not important to the results of this team. Neither one of these guys should be starting games with any regularity. But
it's not important. It's not important now, but it was important 2 months ago.
Right. Before Blorian and Mosquera, it was very important.
Right. And that's the time when Bartlow disappeared from the roster.
Right.
After a string of, competent performances.
He had an oopsie in there. He had one big oopsie in there,
Sure.
and he got pulled, and we never saw him play again. And I'm just saying, like, this is poor management. This is poor personnel management, in my opinion.
Yep.
And you start alienating players, and like I said, I think I've repeated this enough times. It's hard to see a path forward.
Totally agree.
Without replacing all the players. And I don't think replacing players to placate Rapha Wicky is the right choice to be making.
I don't think that's the case with any coach.
But anyone. I mean, but if we had Jurgen Klopp and he was like, bro, we need to do something about a couple of these guys, I can understand that conversation, okay?
Right.
We don't have Jurgen Klopp. We have Rapha Wicky. David Lee should not be making roster decisions based on Rapha Wicky's ability to use the players effectively.
Completely agree.
All right. Let's move on to our to a topic that we have sort of alluded to a couple times, and I thought it was finally time to give it a little bit of air. We thanks to Joel Enderle on the Discord, we have renamed this player. No longer will he be known as Lasse Berg Jonsson. He is now Lasse Fair Johnson. Because he kind of has a laissez-faire. He seems to have a little bit of a laissez-faire attitude. He probably would not like that at all. He would not like that at all. Most defensive midfielders would not like that said about them. But at times, he could appear to not have the appropriate amount of energy towards certainly defensive situations that might require it.
Yeah.
And so that he has been coined. As soon as I saw it, I was like, "That's his name now." I don't make the rules. That's his name. I think let's have a conversation because this is another player like Manu who has some dependencies in his game. There are some things that he does well. Unfortunately, we're not seeing a lot of the things he does well.
I was going to ask you, what are those things? What do you think? What do you think that he does well?
His progressive passing is very good.
Okay.
Progressive passing is very good. But he doesn't get a lot of opportunities to do that with this team. And I also think that there are opportunities for him to use his ability to hit like a long switch or a diagonal or something like that.
I mean, he's in the 54th percentage of accurate long balls.
Well, long balls and progressive passes are two different things.
I realize that, but there is overlap there. Is there not?
Not really. A long ball is well, I don't know how they define long balls. So what are you looking at for as far as?
I'm looking at FOTMob.
Okay. If you look at Futi, he's like the best rated player on the team.
Okay, that's. I don't think that's surprising.
Yeah.
Just based on like
his overall rating is the
right.
best on the team.
Yeah.
I think that there. I'm bringing it up right now because I knew I wanted to have it handy. But I took a look at his Viz Hub, his plot chart, his player radar, and of course it's broken right now. He looks pretty good to fine at pretty much everything. Because we were having the conversation on the Discord. This is again, I mentioned the Discord like 3 times now. This is your weekly reminder to go join the Discord, participate in the conversation. Link is in the show notes. The conversation about Yannick Bright being available from Miami potentially, would that be a player that Sporting should go after? And Bright being just such an elite ball winner, right? Like everyone sort of you see him as that traditional sort of Kubas-like ball winning 6. He doesn't do much else, but he's very good at that one thing, and that seems to be the one thing that LBJ suffers in. Bright was at 12.2 defensive actions, 1 per 96. LBJ's at 11.5.
Okay.
Now, granted, LBJ does it differently. It's a lot like Ilie. It's a lot more interceptions. It's a lot more, he's aerial wins. He wins a lot of aerial duels for someone playing in the 6. But he, I think what happens is this team because of the disorganization, because of the poor rest defense positioning. Don't even get me started on that shit. We're going to talk about that a little bit with the Kansas City Current a little bit. Because of the rest defense positioning, the ideas that Wicky has with their pressure, with sending a central midfielder up to press a center back, and kind of the weird structure that they have with it. I think at times he is left on an island to try to snuff out transition events. He often looks bad, and much in the way that Ilie looked bad for the last couple of years he was here when asked to do a similar job. And the other part of that, again, we're getting into tactics here and a little bit about Wicky's coaching, is that their offensive structure, when they get into zone 14 and they sort of matriculate it forward and they progress to that area, we said for between the boxes, they're decent at moving the ball. Mm-hmm. Zorn Basong is a prime protagonist at the top of the box. That should never be his role, ever.
Totally agree.
And so then you also have LBJ, who likes to participate in that because he actually can do something with the ball at his feet in those areas. He can, hit balls to the corner. He can slip through balls in, etc. There's no one there, and he's behind the play a lot. So I think in a lot of circumstances, we see moments when he doesn't look good, right? But largely his play has been pretty good, or decent at least. And I think that he, as we've discussed several times, he has dependencies that need to be covered for. But that's what a coach does. He builds a plan around the players, maximize their strengths, minimize their weaknesses. You know what I mean? That is something you do with the players you have around you. And I just don't see that happening with this coach. And so I think we see LBJ in bad situations and sort of only remember those and not the cumulative effect of the other, 30 things he did good.
So, do you think that he gets put in those bad situations because Wicky thinks he's better than he actually is?
I don't think Wicky thinks that hard about it. Like, I don't get the vibe that he thinks that hard about it. I think he thinks players should do this role and figure it out. Mm-hmm. I mean, have you gotten the feeling at all by watching this team that he is tactically trying to maneuver the midfield around in a certain way to make it functional?
No, and in fact, I don't really have a good idea of what LBJ's actual role is, especially defensively. Like we know that he is, he is, sort of that metronomic, like touch master, defensive midfielder, holding midfielder. He is meant to touch the ball a lot and help facilitate progression via the midfield. But aside from that, I don't see really what else his role is supposed to be. He gets a lot of touches and has a lot of successful passes, and his possession percentage numbers are really nice. But he's not necessarily the player who's, I think, doing a lot with those passes.
Well, let me put it to you this way. So, like, I don't think that he's some sort of otherworldly central midfielder, 6'8", right? Like, I'm not trying to make him out to be that. So I want to be clear. I just don't think he's as bad as everyone's making him out to be. Like, I think there's this thing that, like, this signing looks like a failure in some ways, and I just don't believe that's true. I just don't believe I think he's a perfectly good and adequate central midfielder in MLS. And for a good team. Like, if you look at his G+ against central midfielders in MLS, and I think I told you this after the LAFC game, because I think he got some stick in that game, and I was like, if you swap Timmy Tillman for LBJ, I don't think you'd see a difference. Yeah. And 100%, he had almost exactly the same. He was like 12th best central midfielder in MLS and G+, and he was right around Timmy Tillman and who's their other damn, not Chouanier. Who's the other guy they got?
Eustáquio?
No, Eustáquio's gone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll look it up here in a second. But he was like exactly the same as those players. And I think before me telling you that, if you asked half the fans of this team, would they prefer to have Timothy Tillman or LBJ, they'd probably say Timothy Tillman or Mark Delgado. That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. Mark Delgado, yeah. If you were to ask half the fans, would they rather have Mark Delgado or LBJ, they'd say Mark Delgado. And there's nothing between them.
Right.
So I guess that's my point, right? Like, is he the world-beating 6 that's going to run the offense for us the way we want to, sort of quarterback it? Maybe not. I do think that there's some Goss theorem candidacy with this guy next season for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if we get a new coach.
Yes.
Get a new coach. Improve his partner in central midfield from Zoran Basong, and I think, and obviously more quality in the attack that appears to be coming. That I think things change pretty significantly for him.
Yeah, I wanna focus in on the Basong pairing for a little bit. Like that confuses me. Other than there's not really maybe a better option. Pairing Basong, I think pairing Basong with Janssen could be a good thing, but I don't. To your earlier point, I don't think Basong is being used in a way that complements LBJ very well. And the prime example of that is the fact that Basong is always drifting forward into the box, or around the box, which is, I think, we can all agree, not a place where his skills are best utilized, and instead, where you could have him sitting more as just a standard double pivot next to LBJ, and playing bodyguard to LBJ and letting LBJ facilitate more of the attack that way. But that's not something that we tend to see from this team very much. And so I would be curious just in that partnership alone to see sort of a different focus for them as a pairing.
I agree. I don't understand why Basong is playing as advanced as he is.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense to me at all. He has very little value in that area, other than, well, I mean, even that. I mean, like, it was so, like, against Houston, it was like, but in the first half, it was like a 3-1-6 almost that they were playing. And I have a lot of concerns about that. First of all, you've taken Amir Karic out of the attack and left him along the back line. And secondly, you've left LBJ to be kind of a single-handed transition eliminator.
That's not his gig, man.
It's like, why? We keep going back to the coaching, but it's just like it just seems to be like a misunderstanding of how these guys might best be used. And I just think Basong is much more likely to see the guy get in transition, foul him, stop the attack, and move on than LBJ is. And I agree with you. I don't know what the alternate option is to Basong at that position. Is it, I mean, what are we talking about? Jacob Bartlett? Ajabang, like, those are.
I mean, I would prefer, if it's going to be a player who drifts forward into the box, I would prefer Ajabang, but I don't think that is serving the team very well either, and so I would prefer to have just Basong playing at a more traditional double pivot type role.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but yeah, again, I mean, there are limitations with the roster as it sits. I'm the last person to act like they don't exist. I'm just like, I don't get why they're making it so difficult. Like, it just doesn't seem to need to be and I also think that LBJ is not the impetus of these problems. He's merely a symptom of poor choices.
Yep. I totally agree.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think any single player is the impetus of the problems. Not even Wyatt Meyer, right? I think that the issue with coaching is more significant than any single player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. At any rate, I think that there's a good player in there. I don't think that we're ever going to be like naming him to MLS Best 11.
Right.
But that he doesn't need to be that. He needs to be good enough to help this team do good things.
Yep.
And his inability to help the team do good things, I don't think is as much of his fault as we've discussed for 45 minutes already.
Right.
It goes much higher than that. And like I said, I do think he's a prime Goss Theorem candidate because
I can see that.
He's a smart player. You can watch him play and see that he's a very intelligent player. He's just in bad positions a lot.
And honestly, if the positioning was better, I really just think that if he had a more adept partner in central midfield, I think that a lot of his issues would go away.
Ilya used to do all this shit, and we never really complained about it because he
Why?
had Roger Espinosa.
That's it. That's it. I mean, it sounds so simple, but it truly is it. You got an engine and a ball winner in the same player, and that's what made that guy a unicorn. And you don't have really either one of those things right now.
Yeah, I mean, Zoe has an engine, but it's
not the same.
It's a lot of dog chasing car with it.
It is.
All right, moving on. It does appear that potentially, let's put it this way: the Andre Luis saga has sagged for the last couple weeks still, since we've last recorded the podcast, and the latest reporting that we had, I think, came from like Sport 24 in Greece, was that a verbal agreement had been reached. They were finalizing things, etc., etc. Tom Bogert sort of confirmed that report, but then he was very quick to say, but it's not done yet. I think it's probably worth sort of explaining to everybody listening kind of how these go, because I think this one, obviously being the size of the deal that it was, along with it happening in the public eye, has created a lot of consternation about, like, why is this taking so long? All the different, like, we're waiting and we're waiting, and when are we going to announce this? And is this going to happen? Is it falling apart? Blah, 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 blah. I think it's important to understand that this is a very common sort of timeline for a transfer like this to take place, especially when we're early in the transfer window and the selling club may or may not be testing the waters to see if they can get better money from somebody else or leveraging some of those potential offers. Like, you're going to have this back and forth. It's how it goes. I will tell you this. I was aware of paperwork being signed between Malmo and Sporting Kansas City for Lasse Berg Jansson's transfer like 10 days before they announced it. That's how long it takes for some of these things to go from and that's like, we're not even talking about all the shit that happened to get to sign paperwork. When clubs make a verbal agreement, could it still fall apart? Sure, of course it could. Anything could happen. But what happens at that point is legal counsels from the in-house counsels from both clubs start getting engaged, and they start sending paperwork back and forth, and there are red lines, and there's all these other, oh wait, but you said you were going to do this, and that's not what it says here, and we have risk here, and you need to change this language. And that shit happens for days. I don't know if any of y'all have dealt with lawyers in the business environment when it comes to signing contracts. Lawyers are picky motherfuckers, man. They will find every single little thing potentially wrong. There's a couple lawyers that listen to this podcast that are nodding their heads right now. If it's not exactly the way that they want it, they will find and they will ask for it exactly. And it goes back and forth until compromises are made and language compromises are made, and you'll reach some certain things that are like, nope, we're not doing it if you make us put this in there. And then the other side's like, okay, fine, we pushed a little too far. How about this, right? That shit happens sometimes for a week. They're going back and forth doing that. Both teams are like, we're good. We've agreed to all this. Lawyers are going back and forth for a week or more, and they're under no deadline. They don't care. Like, especially with the transfer window open until the end of September, until the end of August, the beginning of September. So for them, they're just trying to get their work done that day. And so it's not uncommon for those kind of things to happen. Also, medical has to happen. The whole process of making sure that he's able to get a visa, all the other things that go along with it, is ITC. There's so many different components that go into this process that most of the fans of this club never see. First of all, because they don't make that many transfers and that like cost money. They're mostly on a free, or they are they're on a free. So it's not often you see them. When we do, we typically don't hear about them until 3 days before it's final. So what we're seeing in this circumstance is all of this play out in the public, and it's totally normal. All of this is totally normal. If you're paying close attention to Andre Luis's Instagram, he's posting pictures from Brazil. He's working with his off-season training coach in Brazil right now. You may or may not remember when Sporting signed Diego Borges, he arrived with his visa from Brazil. He didn't come straight from Hungary to Kansas City, say hi everybody, and then go back down to Brazil and get his visa. He went to Brazil straight from Hungary, got his visa, showed up, and was ready to go. It appears that maybe something similar is happening here. I don't have any specific information to tell you that that's what's happening, but we can look at the information around us and feel like, this is a deal that has probably been, it is probably happening. Let me put it that way.
We're just waiting for the final step.
Exactly, which will be, and Sporting likes to do these announcements in person if they can. They want the player here. Remember the whole thing with Kapita in Poland, and it sort of got broken by some interview with the director of football, because they were also firing his weird ass coach in Poland, and it showed up in an interview, and Sporting had to last second Photoshop him into a jersey to be able to put it because it got dropped.
Oh, that was Photoshop. It looked completely realistic to me.
totally looked like Kapita in the
totally
jersey.
Legit.
Yeah. So I think that they like to have him in person. They like to do the photos. They like to have the video package. They like to have all that stuff ready to go. And I expect that's what they're trying to do with Andre Luis. That's what it feels like to me. Obviously, anything can fall apart at the last minute. We've all seen it happen. It's very rare, but it does happen. So I don't want to say that it's guaranteed, but all signs point to the Andre Luis saga ending very soon.
The sooner the better, because I think we can all agree that Calvin Harris is a useful depth option, but probably not a starting quality wing player for a good team in MLS. So
well, and I could also really like to see Capita on the left cutting in onto his right foot. Like that would be very
great.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw in the goal that he scored. He has a really nice right foot.
He does.
let's have him cut in onto that thing and curl some more shots in, please. Because
yes.
Calvin Harris, he needs about 4 really good chances to score. He is the William Agata of wingers. His G plus and his XG is very good, but he does not overperform those metrics ever.
No.
and if he scored as well as we would like him to, he would cost a hell of a lot more than $300,000 a year because he gets into really good places a lot. But it's just the final product is just not. It's not above average in any way, shape, or form. So in that case, you need those wingers to be a little bit more than that, and I think that we'll have an opportunity to see that. There is some hope. I mean, if Andre Luis is in Brazil getting his visa and he arrives with his visa, man, that would be nice. Because there's nothing worse than hearing about the signing and then going, we'll see in 3 weeks, right?
Right, absolutely.
So hopefully that saga is ending soon. And I know a lot of folks want to see him against St. Louis. I don't know how realistic that is, but especially with the way this coach is, if he hasn't been quote-unquote integrated. I don't know what the fuck integrated means with this guy because none of these guys look like they're integrated right now. And they've been, half of them have been on the roster since January.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway. The other big news, well, there was 2 big news options out of the front office. One was good old friend Graham Zusi has joined the front office staff as a scout. He gets to join his buddy The Answer on the scouting staff. Do you think Zusi specifically asked for European assignments so he can go to Barcelona and maybe Austria and a variety of other places and go backpacking while he's scouting players?
If he's smart, he did. I mean,
that seems like right in Zusi's wheelhouse, right?
It absolutely does. He's gonna take his backpack and backpack around Europe while he's scouting. Yeah, staying at hostels. That's totally
exactly. Zusi's gonna be at a hostel in some weird city in Serbia or something, and scouting players. That just seems like right up his alley. So good for him. And it's good to see Zeus joining the front office staff. I think we like seeing guys that we really liked watching staying around the club. So it's good. We do,
and just frankly, I know that there was discussion about it in the Discord earlier, but really they need bodies, right? They do, and they need, these are professionals. These are Zusi is a player who had a long storied history, who probably knows a little bit and can be taught what he doesn't know. He's a really smart guy. He can probably pick up the scouting nuances, I think, pretty quickly. And
Zusi's a really smart footballer,
dude,
man.
He is really smart, and I mean, in my opinion, completely globally undervalued in terms of his technical skill set and his technical ability. Just a super technical player.
Softest foot I've ever seen. His touch is unbelievable, dude.
For real, it's really amazing.
He could cushion an 80-yard ball.
Yep.
And just stall it nobody I've ever seen. Just unbelievable touch. We don't need to get into a glazing Graham Zusi session, but I do believe that he is going to be very good at this role. This is something that his soccer knowledge, I think, will sort of will what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, it
Help
will work.
Compensate.
Yeah, no,
Or
not
his
even compensate.
lack of experience.
No. I mean, all of them have a lack of experience when they start. Like this happens with all these guys. And we've seen Chris Tierney, who is now the CSO in New England after joining as a scout a long time ago, and Ned Grabavoy. We've got a number of examples of this where guys have made it up into significant areas of the front office staff and starting in the scouting department and like sort of earning, cutting their teeth there. I'm just what I meant to say is, like, I think his soccer mind will translate well into evaluating players. I
do too, and he's not the kind of person who half-asses things, or who would. He doesn't appear to be the kind of person who would take this on without really giving it its due diligence. And so I'm thrilled, honestly. I love him. He's a great guy.
And then perhaps not even perhaps, but probably the much more important announcement, and it's not even an announcement, but a report that Daniel Sperry unearthed and brought to us, was that Sporting Kansas City has apparently hired a vice president of data analytics. This was a rec that we saw via Bloom Sports, via Bobby Warshaw's company. It was on LinkedIn, at the beginning of the season, and it was, I think, just pulled in March or April, and we thought that maybe this hire had been made and it was incoming, and here we are in August and we haven't heard anything yet. And I don't know what happened in that process, if they decided to move away from Bloom and do their own search. I don't know, but what appears to have happened is they have identified somebody. They haven't announced it yet, but the reporting here is that Francisco Bello, who is the head of football intelligence at Nottingham Forest, is now going to be the new vice president of data analytics for Sporting Kansas City. This is a big get. Like, this is huge.
It's a really big get.
First of all, say whatever you want about Marinakis, the owner of Nottingham Forest, also the owner of Olympiacos, by the way, and Rio Ave, the last two clubs that Andre Luis was at. Forest has a very advanced recruiting department and player analysis department, like very advanced.
Yep. And aggressive.
And they have been very good at signing and identifying high-quality players, kind of the under-the-radar high-quality players, and then selling them on for profit. And I just like that. This is a very, very advanced football analytics department that this guy is coming from. It's
a big part of the reason of why they're almost certainly not going to drop into yo-yo club status, right? They're very comfortably a mid-table team, and they're competing with the big teams by having this advanced analytics component and being really smart about their purchases. They are, especially when they first came up to the Premier League, they took sort of a shotgun approach and they signed a lot of players, but enough of those players have turned out to be quality professionals that they're doing okay.
Morgan Gibbs-White being one of them, right?
Yep.
I wasn't really doing much at Wolves when they signed him, and he has become like a sort of centerpiece of their team and has been connected with much larger teams in the Premier League for the last couple of years. Even Tottenham was one of them. So like they have done a very good job in their analytics department of identifying talent, especially talent with a lot of upside. So I think that it's the potential here is very, very positive, and I think that it speaks to a level of intent by this team to really kind of ratchet up this quality. And I've taken David Lee to task on this podcast about the lack of moves in this regard, and that they need to start moving along. I'm willing to be a little more patient if these are the kind of hires they're going to make.
Yep, that's a big boy hire. It really, really, really is. Like this is a the kind of profile who would be hired by other Premier League clubs, right? This is not the kind of profile that you would generally associate with a move to MLS. So it's a big deal. And I think not only does it speak to the intent of the owner and of Lee, but it probably also gives us an indication as to where the salary cap and those kinds of mechanisms are headed in the next year or two. And so it's just a neon sign flashing that we're headed in the right direction, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. Big boy hire is the best way of saying it. And it also speaks to some comments that Lee made right after coming back after the World Cup break, when he did his press availability, and he said, some people were asking, are we staffing up? We haven't seen a lot of hires. And he's like, I'm focused on hiring the heads of these divisions so that they can staff out their areas.
Yeah.
And this speaks exactly to that. Get the right guy in. put him to work and let him go staff out his people. And, who knows, maybe he recruits some people from the Premier League as well to, for promoted roles or whatever. But I think that we're starting to see the building blocks of a professionally run football organization.
Finally.
Well, I was texting with Armin Kafai about this earlier today. And I even texted with Chad Reynolds and Daniel Sperry about this. We always said it was going to be like 3 years to unravel Vermees from the organization and rebuild it into something that looks more like a normal soccer club. Because his fingers were in everything.
In everything,
right?
yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
It was going to take 3 years to unravel all of that and replace it with people and then move in the next direction, right? And we're seeing finally that momentum start go forward. But yeah, it's been 18 months. Yeah. And we're only halfway there. And I think realistically, like in my mind, I understood that, but I didn't want to accept it.
Yeah.
Right? But that's where we are. Mike Kuhn has said this several times. I think we all sort of we said it and we got it. Like, yeah, this was going to be that kind of project. But none of us really wanted to accept that it was really going to take that long.
I think that I was in that boat probably until the announcement of the schedule change in the sprint season, and then I was like, oh, everything is kicked until 27-28. That's when we should expect everything to be built out, and I wish that wasn't the case, but it just seems that way.
But I'm going to push back against this a little bit, and I had this conversation with Matt Demline. There is nobody in the building that is saying we're kicking the can till 27-28 and whatever happens until then doesn't matter. They don't have
to say that. It's a natural response to whatever the fuck the sprint season is. It's not a real season. It's not.
Right, but no one is intentionally just going, this doesn't matter, so I don't have to do this shit right now.
I don't think that they're
no
saying
one is
that.
doing that. So that's my point. It's like I think you can be realistic and go, it's just going to take them that long to get all of this in place. That is true. That is absolutely true. I think it is going to take till 27-28 season for us to have a realistic shot at being consistently competitive in this league. I agree with that. Just hear me out. I agree with that. I don't believe anyone in the building is going, yeah, we don't care until then. Like, that's not true.
I wouldn't say that, but you don't think that the presence of the sprint season as a thing, you don't think that that eliminates some of the urgency?
No.
That you don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I think Lee is operating exactly as the way he wants to operate. I don't think the sprint season has anything to do with it.
Okay.
I think he will tell you straight up that there was more to do than even he realized.
Yeah, he has said that straight up. So yeah, absolutely.
But I think that there is no way that he is going, we don't see a chance at a trophy in the sprint season, because they probably expect other teams to be thinking about building for the season after that too, right? Like there's going to be rule changes. There's going to be so much going on. So yeah, I mean, at some level you have to plan for the future.
Right.
But I'm telling you, there's not hey, it's not that important for us to fill this right now because it's the sprint season. Like, they're not thinking that way. I'm telling you that. That is not the way the thinking is going inside the building. Okay.
That's the way I'm thinking as a fan, choosing how and when to spend my money.
Right.
I can tell you that.
I think that's what I'm saying. You can rationally understand by looking at this team, where it is, where the structure exists right now, and go, sprint season probably not going to be very good. Like, that's not difficult to predict. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that no employee of David Lee or below is phoning in the sprint season because it's not important.
Uh-huh.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I hope not. It would make me happy if that was the case.
Moving on. I have this in the tactical corner because we spent a lot of time discussing how much difficulty the current head coach of this team was having in utilizing what appears to be the most talented soccer player on the team on the field. and it is confounded us. And so I thought we just spent just a little bit. This doesn't need to be deep. It can just be kind of just your thoughts on the style of player that Manu is, knowing his limitations. How would you, with the roster as it currently sits, add Andre Luis or not, I don't think that matters. With the roster as it currently sits, how would you utilize him as a player to get the most out of him and potentially make this team look a little bit more coherent?
I think his best and most natural position is as a sort of prototypical, Vermes style attacking eight, and so that means a 4-3-3, and with him on one side and LBJ as the anchor, and whether you want to put Jake Davis or Zoran Basong as the other side of the eight. I would probably prefer Jake Davis personally, but they don't really have a healthy right back at this point, so. That's part of the problem also, and I think that's the best way to use Manu. I think that the expectation that he press as a front two in a 4-4-2 mid block, I think complicates the issue a little bit. I don't think the transition from one to the other is maybe as seamless as we would like, and I don't know whether that is coaching or whether that's the player. I assume, based on our earlier conversation, that it's probably mostly a coaching issue. But I think that really I think that there are one of the things that is difficult for him is that he has to be. I think he'll function best as part of a more static and formalized midfield trio. I think that whenever you have him dropping back, as one of two, or even just one of one, I think it presents problems for him. I think it makes him easier to mark and take out of the game. I think we've seen good teams do that, and I think just to get the most out of him, I think that he needs to be in a more standard sort of midfield trio where he's got two other players that he can play off and play around, and who can help facilitate him getting the ball, because I think that's a big issue. Is that he is everybody knows that he is Sporting Kansas City's main threat, best player, best ball progressor, best chance creator, and so I think that he gets a lot of attention from other teams when he plays and when he's on the ball, and he can sometimes be too easy to mark out. But I don't think that is his fault all on himself. I think that a lot of that has to do with the players that are around him, which is why I would prefer pairing him with someone more like Jake Davis, who can help shoulder some of that load in the midfield. But I think that getting Manu on the ball and having him maybe be a playmaker from a little bit deeper position than a standard number 10 is where you want him. I think that he can hit diagonal passes to either one of the wing players. He can hit through balls to Joveljic or one of the wing players. Like, the dude has like everything in his toolbox that you would possibly want from a player who does that kind of thing. And the fact that he hasn't been sort of liberated or enabled to do that thus far this season is a little bit disappointing, because at this point we've talked about Harris's negative attributes, but he's still a super fast player who can get on the end of stuff. And having that player on one side and Capita, a workhorse who has really good speed and technical ability on the other, you should be able to easily progress the ball into the final third almost any time you get it. Like, frankly, and if you have Manu dealing to those two players and then helping fill the gap once they get in the attacking third, I think that's the way I would use him, and I think that's the way that he was envisioned to be used when he was originally signed. And I think it's kind of a waste that that he's never really been used in that role specifically. And because I think that if he was used in that role and he had a worthwhile supporting cast, I think he would be recognized as one of the best midfielders in the league. What do you think?
Yeah. First, I think it's worthwhile to remember that one of our favorite midfielders in Sporting Kansas City history, former Sporting Kansas City 2 coach and the man with the best mustache of the 20 teens, Benny Feilhaber, was also not a very good defender.
No.
Did we go, oh, well, we can't find a place for him on the field because he can't defend? He got better at it over time, but he was never a good defender. Right. That is just never his bag. Now, granted, again, Roger Espinosa existed. That was part of the reason why it was okay. But also, if Roger Espinosa didn't exist, do you think Benny Feilhaber wouldn't be on the field? Right. Of course not. They would have worked it out. And I think that's the point. So, yes, I think a 4-3-3 structure makes more sense. I don't know that the base formation matters that much to me. What matters to me is how you are setting the team up in possession phases in order to sort of maximize what Manu is good at. And I think that you sort of got to it a little bit with what you were talking about. I do think a 3-2-5 shape makes sense. I just think making Amir Karic alongside that back three is a fucking galaxy brain way of going about it. There is a world here where you could start Ian James at right back, have him play the Alex Freeman role, like we discussed already. Now you have LBJ and Jake Davis next to each other in a double pivot. Manu is free. He is free to float between the lines, which is what he is really good at. Finding that pocket between the midfield line and the defensive line of the opponent. LBJ feeds him the ball. He gets on the turn. He goes forward. He has runners either side of him and in front.
Yep.
I don't think this is that hard. I really don't.
No. Well, I think that when we saw LBJ come into the team and sort of looked at his skill set, I think that's kind of what we envisioned. At least that's what I envisioned. Was LBJ was the connective piece. It's basically, dude, get the ball to Manu. That's your job. LBJ to Manu to attack, right? That's the way that the chart should flow. And it hasn't really worked out that way, unfortunately.
There's never been a structure that looked like they were trying to do that.
I know. I know.
At what point in time have you ever seen those players aligned that way in a progression shape?
Yeah. Never.
So, I just think that there's some very simple things you can do. And LBJ's so good on the ball, he can pull a defender forward before he slips it by him and plays Manu into space. That's right in his wheelhouse, man.
Well, this is why when we were talking earlier, and I was advocating for a more traditional double pivot role for Basong. You just sit LBJ and Basong in front of the center backs, and then you, as you said, you let Basong do, or you let Manu do his thing, and he can do that.
Regardless, I just don't think it needs to be that hard. I really don't. I think I would prefer to have Jake on the field because I think his technical ability is higher than Basong's. I think he is more likely to do something positive with the ball at his feet. And I think they're largely the same when it comes to their defensive work.
Defensive, yeah.
I don't think that there's a whole lot different. But I'm just telling you right now, if you look at Benny Feilhaber's 2015 season, when he had 10 goals and 15 assists, and you look at Manu Garcia's 2025 season, if you look at an American Soccer Analysis, they're basically the same.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you fuck up having a player like that. He is not some sort of confounding player that's difficult to understand. He's a creative central midfielder with some defensive deficiencies. Okay, fine. Work around it. Benny and Ilie coexisted, right? This is not hard, man. And I just feel
Evander is a thing. You know, Reynoso was a thing. Like
Evander
MLS
never defends.
No, he doesn't.
He defends less than Messi. I watch Messi press every now and then. Evander could not be asked to fucking press.
He might like give a little feint, like, oh, I might defend. No, I'm not gonna do that.
You know what though? He scores golazos, so he gets to do that. But Pat Noonan, he figures it out with other players, man. That is what coaches do.
Yep.
And I'm not comparing Manu Garcia to Evander. These are different players. They're completely different players, and both in the style of play and in their quality. Evander's a much better soccer player than Manu Garcia is. But the point is still there. And it doesn't need to be that hard. It really doesn't need to be that hard. Just go fucking 2018 Pep Man City 3-2-5. It will be fine.
Yep. I agree. I co-sign. Drew for manager. Let's do it.
Jesus Christ. I do think in controlled progression shape, you need to allow him to come back and get the ball too. So I think that there's some rotational aspects to it, right? Like, you know, if Manu drops back, LBJ moves forward and becomes and then Manu has to stay, or Jake rotates. Like, there is some stuff where you got to teach guys what to do in different scenarios, but your goal should be getting Manu on the ball. And my main concern, and if I'm coaching Manu Garcia, is like, if you're dropping back into our into our defensive third to receive the ball, you better be checking your fucking shoulder. Because if you do that bullshit where somebody's running over your back and you lose the ball enough times, I'm gonna pull you.
Yeah,
because
he does do his fair share of that.
He does that, and I will raise my hand and say that's not okay.
Yeah,
but that's an easy thing to talk to a player about.
I mean, we think maybe that's part of the issue, you know? I mean, you never can tell.
I mean,
I am skeptical myself. I was just being devil's advocate. Yeah. I don't think that's part of the issue.
Anyway.
But maybe.
I didn't want to spend a ton of time on this. I just wanted to say that, like, it doesn't need to be that hard.
No, it's not that hard, and good coaches know that you have to get your good players performing in order to keep your job.
Everything in your being as if you're the coach of this Sporting Kansas City roster has to be, how do I get the ball from LBJ to Manu Garcia to Dejan Joveljic? Yeah. That should be your whole goal in life.
Yeah. Even before defending, like that's the key thing.
Like
do that. If you do
things.
that, you're gonna be okay, because you're gonna score goals. You're gonna lose some games, sure, but you'll win some games too.
But you're gonna create some high quality chances, and people and fans watching the team will go, "This is fun. I like fun."
That's the thing. It's important.
All right.
Nobody wants to watch shitty, boring soccer, and that also loses.
Yeah,
it's the cardinal sin.
I would prefer our professional soccer players didn't look inept at playing professional soccer.
Agree. Especially now that we have better professional soccer players. Exactly.
All right, let's move on to Potpourri. Just like your favorite Jeopardy category, got a bunch of topics in there on the Sporting Kansas City and the soccer sphere. We're going to go rapid fire. I was even tuning into this. I got done with a meeting. It was about the 60-minute mark, and I had to turn on WAFCON because Malawi was in the semifinals against Algeria. Temwa Chawinga, well, I should say this. Tabita Chawinga as well. The Chawinga sisters. It sort of seems unfair that they get to play on the same team. Like, it seems unfair to the rest of WAFCON. They are dominating this tournament. Temwa introducing herself to the world a little bit. I don't think a lot of people were quite aware of how fucking good she is at soccer. And I mean, I think she should be ahead in the Golden Boot now. She got another goal in this one, so she's got 5 goals and 2 assists in 5 games.
That's good.
Her sister almost had a Hattie today. They're just a lot of fun to watch. I will say that the quality of the defending in Africa is not quite the same as what we're familiar with watching the U.S. Women's National Team, but damn, do they have some athletes on that on their side. And as we know, Temwa is relentless.
Yeah,
and
she can do it, and she can do it against good defenders. Like,
exactly.
Like,
she sliced up 2 defenders against Algeria today, and I think Andre Carlisle put it up as like, the thing is, she can do this against the best players in the world, and she can.
Absolutely.
Like, we've watched her do it. She is unbelievably good, worth price of admission every single time, and I'm happy for her. And legitimate chance. Malawi's in the final. They could legitimately win WAFCON, which would be amazing. Regardless, they've already qualified for the Women's World Cup next year. So so Temwa is going to the World Cup. And I think it shows. I mean, I know there was kind of some weird stuff there with the FA at one point about her, whether she was going to play for them or not. And it feels like they made a lot of strides with their FA. And Mike McGrew's got a really good thread on Blue Sky about it, about how they do completely equal pay across all practices. Like, so even their beach team, shares in revenue for everybody. So like, the women's team is going to they're going to get $750,000 just for making the final. If they win it, they get like $2 million, and that goes to everybody, every player on any national team. They just spread it equally, which is kind of cool, like something you don't see elsewhere. Great. And I mean, it's a cool story, and I found myself very invested in it, and she's playing out of her mind, which is great.
She's a great player. One of one. Just really fantastic.
Yeah. What also has been clear in her absence is that the current are pretty poorly coached. Like, we've got a similar scenario to Rapha Wicky here. Mm-hmm. Like, I will admit I have not watched as much of the current this year as I have in previous years. Part of it is because when I watch, I get really grumpy, and I don't want to be grumpy in my spare time. But
I am right there with you. And the second Armis was in as coach, I was kind of like, I'm not going to pay strict attention. So I'm completely with you.
It goes back to the same conversation we're having about Wicky. The team went from looking very organized and knowing what they were doing to very disorganized and not knowing what they're doing a lot of the time. Yeah. They kind of play in and out of it, and I think part of it is because they still have really good soccer players on their team. So there are times when they just dial in and look good. But man, there are times where this team looks like just broke. Like they don't know what they're doing. I for the first half hour of this last game they played against the Dash, I'm like, what is their rest defense position? Like what do they have a rest defense? Yeah. And then what is their pressure structure? Like they were just getting blown through the midfield, like we've seen happen over and over and over again. And yeah, we like to make jokes about the fact that, if they had, a competent 6, a lot of this would go away, and it probably would. But also, part of the problem is the front line aggressively presses. There's no line behind them following.
Yeah. So
the back line is all the way back, 30 yards from goal, and then there's 2 midfielders left to cover the rest of the field.
Yeah, that's it's
just the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen, and I can't believe that a professional soccer coach would think that's good. But why is it happening over and over again?
Yeah,
like I can't answer that question.
I can't answer it either. But like I said, I mean, I was never impressed with Armis as an MLS coach, and I think that this is part of the reason why. I mean, there's a lot that goes into coaching, like we've already discussed. It's not just the tactics. It's in player management, but it's also in communication and being able to communicate your expectations clearly and succinctly, and in a way that enables and empowers players. And I think that if you're not able to do that, then you're always going to be struggling. And so it doesn't matter how good your tactics are, how much time and effort you invest in that. If you can't communicate that to players and in a way that gets players playing as a unit and
or that they want to listen to you and actually execute your instructions.
There's that too, right? Like if players think you're full of shit, they're not going to do your stuff. They're just not going to give the full effort.
That's what I see on the field. As I just see some players tuning out from time to time.
Yeah,
when they're tuned in, they look good. But they tune out for periods of the game, And that was never a problem under Vlatko. You never had that issue. And I'm
Vlatko,
sorry, but that's
demands Vlatko's his CV demands respect. He demands
I don't
respect
even know.
as a
I don't
player.
even know. I mean, I think it's partly that, but it's also just leadership.
Yeah,
Leaders,
it is.
some people are good at leading others, and some people aren't. I don't doubt that Chris Armas knows how to build a tactical scheme. I doubt that he knows how to get people to execute it.
Agree.
And it's the same thing we said about Rapha Wicky. Any coach can get a license and learn how to do football.
Yep.
The special sauce comes from getting the players on the field to do it, motivating them and getting them to want to follow you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do they say? What do you call a leader with no followers? Just a guy taking a walk? Got our fair share of that in Kansas City right now.
Seems like
it. In more news of people totally fucking over their own job security, Gianni Infantino, he finally spent too much time around Donald Trump and thought he could get away with anything. And Jesus, like, it was this whole thing with trying to sell off the media rights to private equity for $15 billion was so clearly a bribe to Gianni Infantino. Like, you couldn't even, like, there was no way to describe it other than that. Like, FIFA has like 10 billion in cash reserves. They don't need money to be able to disperse money to the rep organizations or fund all these other projects. They have cash. It was a Kushner who was running this whole thing with JP Morgan Chase. It was pretty clear to see where all this came from. And everyone saw through it pretty quickly, and he had a full-on revolt on his hands and then quickly backed out of it. And now everybody's like, no, fuck you. If you don't remove yourself from the next election, we're gonna convene and get you removed.
You love to see it.
And he's doing like wild shit now, like trying to get different federations to stand by him. So he got Morocco to stand by him by promising them the 2030 World Cup final, and he got Mexico to
I'm sure Spain and Portugal are thrilled about that.
They're super excited about that. I mean, but that's what he gets, one federation. Like, dude, you need like 100 federations to stand behind you. And I know some of the smaller ones will, just because all they care about is money. They don't actually have any competitiveness, but the other ones, like, it was so wild to see the CONCACAF statement come out that was in alignment with UEFA, but Mexico wasn't included. It very specifically said U.S. soccer, Canada soccer, and the Caribbean nations. Mexico wasn't included. We find out like 3 hours later, he promised Mexico he would get them into CONMEBOL, which is like Missouri trying to join the SEC. Like, what? Good job. Cool.
Mexico can't even win CONCACAF, and they're going to go down and compete in CONMEBOL? Okay.
I mean, I guess when 64 teams make the World Cup, everyone in CONMEBOL goes in, so it doesn't matter. But, I mean, dude, whatever. It's just wild, the moves he's trying to make right now. And these are, like, obviously very clearly, like, grabbing at everything he possibly can to try to save his ass. Because getting Morocco and Mexico to stand by you is not going to save your ass right now, dude.
No, it's
too much momentum going the other way.
He's cooked.
Yeah, he is cooked. I mean, he's going to be fine. Johnny, I assure you.
Yes.
He got all those side payments. Johnny going to be just fine. But his time in front as leader of this, let's be honest, very corrupt organization to begin with.
Yeah.
His corruption went too far. He kind of bladdered it, which is funny. But
it is absolutely hilarious. He'll transition nicely to a role in the Trump administration, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, exactly. Trump was posting on social media about how bad it would be if they got rid of him. So you can tell where the allegiances are. Anyway,
this is the wackest timeline. I swear to God.
It's so strange, dude. I can't make sense of it. On a good news thing for Sporting Kansas City fans, we didn't get Mo Salah, But it does appear that Andre Luis is moving in the positive direction. But I know fans are hoping for more. We'll see if we see some more. But it could be worse. You could be a Montreal fan who just signed Alexis Sanchez to a DP deal. Is it 2015? Did I miss something?
Yeah,
did we go backwards 10 years? Like what? What in the fuck? Like, this is what happens. Like, I've made this comparison quite a bit. For those of you that follow F1, if you're familiar with Lawrence Stroll, he's the guy who owns the Aston Martin team. Very wealthy Canadian businessman, multi-billionaire, bought this team. It was Force India, and then I forget what they called it after Force India. He bought this team. He bought Aston Martin, turned it into this Aston Martin team. Like, he spent all this money on all this stuff specifically so his son can race in Formula One. Lance. Oh. Lance Stroll is a garbage Formula One driver. Anyone who watches Formula One knows this. This guy sucks. He's terrible. His teammate is 44 years old and consistently kicks the shit out of him. Now, don't get me wrong. Fernando Alonso, 2-time world champion, great driver, but 44-year-olds don't typically do it that well in Formula One. This kid gets his ass kicked by Fernando Alonso constantly. And the Saputo situation at CF Montreal is like exactly the same thing. Like, I really don't think Joey Saputo even knows that he owns an MLS team. It is just a toy for his kids.
Right.
Like, and they just make the most fucking ridiculous decisions over and over and over again. They, at one point, had finally found the fountain of youth. They had Wilfred Nancy.
Right.
And he drugged their ass up to third place.
Yeah.
In the East. And then they sold all the players, and Wilf was like, bye, dude.
Yep.
Bye. I'm going to Columbus.
All the players Wilf developed. Yeah.
Yeah. Sold them all, and Wilf was like, bye, dude. I'm going to Columbus. We're going to go win some titles. Yeah. It's just absurd. Just an absurd organization. So I actually feel bad for Montreal fans because they're legitimate fans are really hardcore.
You'd have to be
Montreal
fans to be a legitimate fan.
Yeah. They don't. Those people don't deserve the nonsense, the dysfunction that is that organization.
No one outside of St. Louis deserves that.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, Alexis Sanchez, I looked it up. He scored 6 goals in his last 64 appearances.
That's not good, man. Wow.
All right. More MLS hot stove. Players going out. Xavier Gozo, a guy we like quite a bit. Going to Crystal Palace, I think that's kind of a cool move for him, right?
It's a great
You think
move.
he's
It's
a good
really
fit
exciting.
for Glasner? You think so?
Glasner does not coach at Crystal Palace.
Oh, who is it now? That's right. Your Glasner got fired, didn't he? Or did he quit?
He left.
Yeah,
he left on his own accord. I don't know who the coach is there now, but Crystal Palace traditionally has been
Pierre Sage.
Crystal Palace has traditionally been really good at bringing in and developing players. Especially sort of wide playing athletic players, and so I have a lot of high hopes for this. And they're not also a team that splashes a bunch of money. So even paying this fee for Gozo, which isn't a super high fee in EPL terms, but it's enough that I imagine that he'll get playing time and he'll get opportunities, and so I think it's probably a pretty good move for him. It's exciting. I'm excited to see him. I really hope he turns it on, man.
Yeah. Okay. So I know who this coach is. This guy. So the guy they hired is the guy from RC Lens, who got Lens to the Coupe de France title in the Champions League, and then they just won the Coupe de France this year. So this is actually a good up and coming French coach that they hired. So this could be a nice, interesting fit. Yeah, I agree. I think Palace is a good place for him. In less interesting places for MLS players to go, Lucas Harrington goes to Hull City.
I mean, this is the idea here is that he'll play and he'll play this season, and then they can
play in the Champo for the next 10 years.
Well, or they can sell him. Because they're going to get relegated. They're by almost all accounts the worst team to get promoted in a very long time.
Like a lot of people are predicting they might beat Derby County's record.
Yeah. So they're gonna be hot ass, and so let's hope that. I don't really give a shit about Harrington. Like I'm happy he's from MLS, but he's not American. So I wish the best for him, but like it's not gonna break my heart either way. Honestly.
I'm more interested to see where Bekazeli Mbokazi goes than I am Lucas Harrington, to be completely honest. Mbokazi was fun to watch in the World Cup. Harrington was whatever. Did Harrington even play that much for Australia? I don't know if he played against the US.
I thought he played every game.
Okay,
but I could be wrong.
They play with a back three, and so it makes him sort of nondescript. I just don't remember much of him. But whereas
Mbokazi ain't going anywhere because he's injured for the rest of the season.
Right, so. He's out. But I'm saying like he looked good at the World Cup.
Yeah, he did. He's a good.
The other funny one, Chucky Lozano goes to the Galaxy.
It is great. This is why you're a fan of the league. It's crazy. It's nuts. LA fans,
and apparently LA's covered enough of his salary that he's a DP. Like it's wild to me.
Galaxy fans are fucking pissed. It's beautiful. Every part of it is just beautiful, and there's lots of drama, lots of tea, and it's great. I can't wait to see it all burn down. I'm just here for all of it.
They sell Gabriel Peck for like what, 18 million or whatever it was, and then replace him with a half-year loan of Chucky Lozano, who hasn't played soccer in like a year.
Man,
I love this league, dude. It's so great.
For that team, it's Puig or nothing, dude. If they don't have Ricky Puig, they're just like fucking rudderless. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Well, and I mean, he's been injured for 24 months. Like, who even knows what Puig is going to look like when he finally gets healthy?
I bet he'll come back and be amazing.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I do.
Houston signed a Uruguayan left back I'd never heard of. Vancouver signed a Serbian U22 midfielder to ostensibly to replace Sebastian Berhalter, although it sounds like they're going after Daniel Gazdag as well, which is kind of an interesting choice for them. Yeah. Berhalter off to Middlesbrough to join his academy buddy and purveyor of team pictures, Aiden Morris. There's like all kinds of old photos of these kids together when they were teenagers.
They're the Middlesbros, man.
Yeah,
Aiden
it's
Morris,
the Middlesbros.
Max Arfston and Berhalter. Let's go.
It's the Columbus Crew East. is Middlesbrough. So Borough's become quite the American team. We haven't really had this since like Full America, where there's like a number of American players on the same team. So Middlesbrough's kind of trying to take that on. Unfortunately, they're in the Champo, so it's not quite the same as Full America when they were in the Premier League, but still kind of interesting. I still can't bring myself to watch Middlesbrough.
I can't bring myself to watch any Champo games, honestly. It's a slog following the Champo, and the games are not very dynamic and exciting. So I would rather watch the weirdness that is MLS than watch the Championship any day.
MLS is way more entertaining than
MLS is just
the Champo is.
It's absurd.
It doesn't make any sense a lot of the time, which is fine, but you struggle to not find it fun and entertaining to watch. I never have a problem watching an MLS game and getting bored.
No, it's never boring.
Yeah.
Mostly because the defending is hot ass, but
yeah. Well, it's a combination, and this will be interesting to see with the salary cap changes if some of this changes, right? But the defending looks like it's hot ass because the attackers cost $20 million, and the defenders cost $200,000.
Right.
And so, like, the disparity in player quality between these two positions is very different.
Yeah,
and so
absolutely.
It's just, you get to see a lot of defenders made to look silly by attackers who are just several echelons above them in skill. Turkiye signing all the players, it appears like now. They are the new Saudi. They've got all this new money now with their TV deals and
they're the old new Saudi. Like they were doing this before Saudi.
I don't think they were spending 80 million euros in transfer fees on players. Like Turkey wasn't doing that shit.
No, but those players didn't cost that much back then. Saudi's just dropped off the face. Like they're not investing money anymore in player acquisition like they were. Same thing that happened to the Chinese league, and so Turkey is there. And the thing is, the reason players go to Turkiye instead of Saudi or instead of MLS is because you can still play Champions League in Turkey.
Not in Trabzon, you're not.
Well, maybe not this year, maybe next year, but yeah, I don't.
You think Mo Salah's leading Trabzonspor to the Champions League?
No, I do not.
He's going to be enjoying his golden toilet and his $5,000 toilet paper.
This is true.
This man takes a shit real seriously, apparently. The whole thing of all the stuff that he got, and then it included a gold toilet and $5,000 a month in toilet paper. Like, what are you wiping your ass with, dude?
The finest linen, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, they got some very nice fabrics in Turkey, so like maybe there's some silk or something like that. Couldn't compete with that type of compensation package, apparently. But yeah, I think you're right.
The free Costco executive membership in Kansas City wasn't quite the same.
Yeah, exactly. there is something to the fact that Turkey has ramped up their spending fairly significantly. They are, I think, after this window, going to be the second highest net transfer spending league in the world. That's not just out of nowhere, right? Like that, they have been sort of building up to this, and there's a lot of like financial reasons for it. The Athletic did a thing on this last year when Osimhen went to Galatasaray, and Marco Asensio and a few others, right, had made like these big moves for a lot of money. That they have an influx of cash coming, both from their television rights deal to their owners and their own financial viability, and a variety of other reasons why they're able to do this, which is not completely disassociated from oil, but also isn't the PIF, right? It's a completely different kind of situation. And so I think that, we're going to see this for a little while, and especially when it comes to, it's going to be a key competitive point for MLS teams. There was a point where Lukaku might have gone to Atlanta United. That appeared, that got sort of sniped. There was, Memphis Depay, it looks like might maybe be the next target because he got just ousted from Corinthians. But there are a number of players that have made moves to Turkey under big numbers. Fuller and Ballon is even, being rumored as being potentially going there because Turkey is one of the few places that can pay his transfer fee. Like Monaco want 50 million euros. There aren't many clubs that can pay that. So it limits your options pretty significantly. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it works out, but it is an interesting development. Last thing in the Potpourri slate, Leagues Cup. Have you watched any of Leagues Cup? Yeah,
I watched a little bit here and there. I don't know, man. It's especially the earlier rounds are difficult. The television experience sort of mimics the in-stadium experience a lot of times, and most of the stadiums have been mostly empty, and so unless you get one of the really big Mexican clubs who have a lot of support, MLS fans really seem not to be showing up in numbers at this stage of the game, and so it kind of makes it lame to watch. Honestly, it just hasn't been super dynamic or exciting. I'm hoping that after the sort of group stage, it'll sort of get a little bit more juice. In the past, I've kind of enjoyed it, and at this point, I'm just watching it because it's like the only soccer that's really on, and so I'll catch a little bit here and there, and I'm loosely following it, but it's not the most easy format to follow, and especially at this point, if you I think this was discussed on maybe Soccer Wise, but if a team, and specifically these Mexican teams, if they lose a single game, it's really hard to move on to the next stage with 6 points. They play 3 points in this stage, or they play 3 games in this stage. So if you lose even one game, it's really hard to make it. And so it just, all the games become all these dead rubber games, which is where we are this week. And most of the Mexican teams are out, and so they're not gonna, they're not approaching it with the same level of sort of engagement and passion and drive, and so the games are kind of a little bit flat. And so I don't know, like, it's a good idea, like on paper. I just feel like there's just something missing from it, and it might just be that we're soccered out from having the World Cup and all of that, but it just doesn't seem to have the shine that it did in past years.
I think the World Cup is a big component of it. It's hard, and I think the scheduling was just sort of unfortunate, kind of how they did it, where it's like World Cup, and then MLS is like, MLS is back, and we'll take it from here for 3 games, and then we're going to go to this other tournament that no one knows what the fuck it is, and then and then we're back again.
Yeah.
By the way, no one seems to know what this tournament is. No one goes to the games, and they're every 3 days, so everybody's rotating their squads. So it's just like, it's difficult. It's difficult. And I have watched very little of it. And do you realize like how unimpressive your competition has to be for someone like me not to watch it? Like, I watch all of this stuff, and if it's on, I'm interested in it. And I've had zero interest in watching this. And you hit the nail on the head. It's ever since when they changed the competition to this like top 4 from each table. You're right. A single loss, you're out. Sometimes on the MLS side, a draw, like a shootout loss, and you're probably out. Like 7 points is out in some circumstances. Like RSL is one of, like, there are 2 teams I really enjoy watching in MLS that are still potentially in this tournament. It's LAFC and RSL, and both of them could get eliminated today.
Yeah.
And so it's like and it's the other thing is like the results make no sense compared to how these teams are actually. Like, the teams likely to advance from MLS are Austin, Dallas, and Chicago. What?
That makes no fucking sense.
I don't want to watch those fucking teams play, and they are going to get blown out by Mexican teams in games that matter. So I'm just like, whatever. Like, it's this tournament that, like, I understand why Liga MX and MLS want to do it from a marketing perspective, but it doesn't seem like it's for fans.
No,
it's for people who aren't fans.
Yeah,
they're hoping to get the viewing eyes of people who don't normally tune in. Mm-hmm. And what's happening instead is nobody's tuning in.
Sure seems that way, doesn't it?
And it's just a bummer. And like you said, like, the games are just not very good. And so I have a lot more fun watching an MLS game. I actually watched some of the New England Houston game on Saturday. I did. Yeah. I've watched almost none of League's Cup.
Yeah, and I think that just to sort of drive the point home, just the fact that these games, like, Monterrey is playing Nashville right now. Monterrey is nominally the home team, but they're playing in Nashville, right? They're not That's
always been an issue with this tournament, though. Yeah, they moved some games to Mexico, but I mean, it's always been an issue.
But there's no rhyme or reason as to what games are in Mexico and what games aren't. Like,
I thought it was based on. I thought it was like they rank them based on because I don't think Monterrey was in the top 4 Liga MX teans over the last 2 tables.
So it's only the top 4 that get to play.
I believe so. Because I know Toluca played games at home, and I think Chivas did as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, that makes more sense. But I didn't, I didn't know that.
I could be completely off base there, but I noticed Toluca was playing at home.
The fact that we don't know is a problem.
Well, I've sort of tuned out of it. Like, when they changed the competitive format, it just became like you said. Now only 8 teams make the knockout stages, and if you drop a point on the MLS side, you're immediately in danger of getting knocked out. Yep. On the Liga MX side, it's not quite as bad, but it's still like a loss is pretty much you're done.
Bad.
And so it's like, yeah, you're right. Just a bunch of dead rubber games and a bunch of highly rotated lineups, and I don't care that much. Yeah. So I don't know if they'll change anything about it. I don't feel like this is going anywhere because they get a ton of sponsorship dollars for it, even though nobody watches it, which is weird. So whatever.
Maybe the sponsorship means that they'll tweak it until they find something that works. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. All right. Last thing to discuss. One thing to look for. Sporting Kansas City head to Commerce City, Colorado for another game.
Yeah.
I'm just going to run these out really quick. Will Kwaku start at the 10 again? Will
No.
2 weeks of practice together actually show positive results on the field?
No.
Will Paxton Harrison destroy us in transition again?
No, but that's because he's not that good.
Oh, all right. Well, tune in Saturday to find out. I mean, seriously, like
He might, honestly.
he torched us in the home
He
game.
really did. And this is the team you want to play to get, to get right. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, at altitude, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's always a tough game. The road games in Colorado are always hard. I don't know. But yeah,
What are you looking for? What are you interested in watching?
some level of competent team organization. Just some ideas. Like literally any consistent ideas of how they want to play soccer would be great.
Well, we're here. We've had another 2 weeks, right, of practice time. So that's
They've been practicing since fucking January, Cody.
I know, man. You are preaching to the choir, brother. I'm trying to find some silver linings. We might see something. Let's hope that we see all of the best players starting in their best positions. That would be a good start.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. I have no faith that Rapha Wicky's not going to continue to ask Manu Garcia to press center backs.
Yeah. Seems like a good use of his skill set.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, we'll find out. What a great way to end the podcast this week. Everything sucks and everything, or what is the Amy Poehler thing? It's like, everything sucks and I'm dying inside or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that more and more we start to see some of these players that we've spent more money on start to show their quality on the field. We've seen it in flashes for Capita. I think the more he's played, the more he's gained some rapport. I think Davis has been mostly decent at right back over the last few games. I don't know that I want him playing there long term. Justin Reynolds and Diego Borges and Taylor Calhera were all back in training this week, which is good. Calhera, it sounds like, according to Daniel Sperry, unlikely to get reintegrated anytime soon, just because he got a pretty bad ankle sprain in that in the second phase of that friendly against Atlanta. But who knows? Maybe Justin Reynolds is available for some minutes, and we can move Jake off a right back and into the midfield. Who knows? I don't know.
Or to the bench, which is what Wicky did last time.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, who fucking knows, dude? Just keep watching Zorn Basong being a key protagonist in our attack. I'm sure that's going to work out eventually. And until next week, I'm Drew. He's Cody. I hope y'all have a good time watching the game. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Go Sporting.